What is up, guys? Today I want to talk a little bit about how to not become cynical. This really is going to apply to any situation in your life, period. Any situation, any field, any pursuit, whatever. The concept I want to talk about right now is just in general how not to become a cynical motherfucker, because this is honestly a legitimate challenge. Like in the modern world, there's a billion reasons to be cynical. The world is tough, the world is unfair. The situations we find ourselves in are difficult and prone to make us cynical. So I just want to give my perspective on how I tend to stay optimistic overall, even though I do often default to cynicism and just pessimism and even black pill vibes sometimes. In any case, I just want to give my 4 steps for how not to be cynical. So let's begin. Number 1, be cynical. So this is a sort of counterintuitive, paradoxical tip, because obviously the point of this video is for you not to be cynical. But my point is that you have to actually have a healthy amount of cynicism in this life, because the reality is that, the nature of the world is that you're being constantly grinded on. There are elements that are trying to wear you down. There's stuff that you're fighting against. There is bullshit that you're dealing with. There's people that are probably going to betray you at some point in life if you're pushing forward and you're pushing your edge and you're falling in love and you're making connections and making friends. It's like there are many, many reasons to be cynical. Again, so it's like be able to feel that and be able to say, God fucking damn it, because that's natural. It's a natural thing to just be like, this is fucked. Just look around and just say, this is fucked, because a lot of times it really is. And there's something about that fake positivity that you do see in a lot of spaces, and then especially these hippie circles and these new age, modern, new wave spaces. It's so weird because they are almost they're delusional, and they're not really reacting in a way that is consistent with the reality of the world. Dude, it's you can't just be all loving and roses and fucking Zen and Buddhism when a Mongol army could raid your village in a real natural setting, right? What is your fucking spirituality and love gonna do when that happens? It's not practical. So this is where cynicism actually comes in handy. It's be able to, from time to time, just be like, God fucking damn it, and express that, and proceed with the next steps that I have, because I think these are a little bit more helpful in the way that reframes the cynicism in a more positive way. So number 2, be grateful. As much as you can look around at the world and say God damn, this is such a struggle, all this shit is wrong, all this shit is fucked up, society's fucked, etc., etc. What you can also do every day in a very practical sense is just be grateful. I'm currently going through a phase where my needs are not being met in a few different ways, but I'm also super grateful because I have this apartment, I have my abilities to express myself, I have my mental faculties, I have my discipline, I have food, I have sunshine, I live alone. There's a lot of things you can just consciously write down and consider and be grateful about. This is gonna do something that's gonna counterbalance and counteract the cynicism, because you don't want to just get stuck in the cynicism. You don't want to get stuck in the black pill, because that's a dark place. The black pill is a dark place. It's not very useful to be stuck in there. So yeah, be grateful, list what you have, and realize that you're not at zero, and realize that things are pretty damn good in a lot of ways, probably specifically pertaining to your life, that are unique and that are not these generalized, cliched, spiritual, hippy-dippy tropes. It's you probably are very lucky in a lot of unique ways, even if you're going through problems, even if you're struggling to see the light at the moment. Just realize how lucky you are. There's literally a billion reasons that you could be grateful, and a lot of times it is just a perspective shift. You can look at everything negative and say, damn, but it's our brains are focus machines. So if you are really focused on the black pill and all the negative aspects of life, you're actually just going to be focused on that, and it's going to amplify in your brain. And so this point, be grateful it kind of relates to the whole idea that you're choosing what to focus on. You're actually choosing to focus on the dark and negative aspects of life, if that's what you're doing, you know? Or you can choose to simply like line up all the best things that are going on, all the fucking amazing realities of this life, and all of the extremely fortunate things that are going on in your life. Like, and if you're healthy, if you have a fucking brain, if you have any kind of work ethic, like, you really have no reason not to think that you should be grateful. So be grateful. Honestly, you can be grateful even if you're going through the deepest struggles of your life. And no shit, if you're going through the deepest struggles of your life, the most severe struggles of your life, you actually have more reason to be grateful, because like, these are moments that test you. These are moments that literally provide you with a opportunity to create evidence within yourself to be able to see that you are anti-fragile, which is the most important skill that a man can develop in his life. Like, so you should be grateful for that, and you should take that challenge and you should run with it. It's actually better, you should be more grateful for the hard struggles than you are for just being in like limbo, you know? I think Brute DeForce wrote a tweet about that one day and was like, it's better to be in a terrible situation than it is to be in like a mediocre situation, because at least in the terrible situation, you're gonna get motivated to just work. You're gonna get motivated to improve your life in dramatic ways and take dramatic action. So it's like, again, you can be more grateful for the worst situations. But that's that point. I'll just leave it there. Be grateful. Number 3, be objective. Honestly, I think that a key to surviving in this world is, you know, in addition to being honest with yourself, that's step 1, be cynical, be honest. Things are tough. In addition to being grateful, you know, forcing your brain to look at all the best things, all the amazing, fortunate, like insane, like lucky aspects of our life. That's number 2, be grateful. Number 3, be objective. This is an important thing too, because it's about being detached. You know, like if you're moving through this life and you're too like emotional about everything that happens, you're too emotional about all the setbacks, you're too emotional about all your failures, you're too emotional about your past, you're too emotional about everything, it's going to be a lot more difficult to not get cynical. Like, I really am starting to believe that the key to winning this game of life is, firstly, it's multifaceted. I believe if you're a spiritual being, if you're an evolved person and you're seeking consciousness on a higher level, firstly, you have to have a spiritual underlying foundation developed in your life. That's number 1. So that complicates things, right? But on the other hand, you're a physical being. Like, you have a body and you are a person, and you're not just a ghost. You know, like, if that were the case, then we could just all astral project and like fucking interact in the spiritual realm. It's just not the case. So you got to keep in mind that, like, when being objective, right? Being objective to play this game right, and it's not about being like a psychopath, because again, we're still spiritual beings. We're still like humans. This channel I'm making is about being like a spiritual person and being a conscious person, but it's also about succeeding. It's like, I'm not about being a fucking stupid hippie, like weak ass hippie soy boy in the woods eating all this like, you know, vegan whatever, because that doesn't work at all, and that's delusional. And in the real world, the fucking Mongol tribe is about to raid your village and steal everything and kill all the women and children. So it's like, you better be fucking physically strong, and you better be ready to withstand some pain and fight back and be anti-fragile. So again, to bring it back to this main point, be objective and be detached. I could also add, it's like, be detached, because a lot of bad things are going to happen in life, and a lot of unfortunate things are going to happen in life. But what you always have to keep in mind is that the most amazing thing that humans have, in my opinion, is this ability to project above ourselves and envision a higher version of ourselves. And like, I will say that this version of ourselves varies between different levels and a wide spectrum of clarity. There's certain points in life when that version of you, that image of you, that highest version of yourself is not so clear. And there's other times in life when that vision of you is crystal clear. There are times when that vision of you is not like congruent with the present version of you, and then that also kind of like clutters the vision that you're having of your future self. But what is amazing is that we have this, and that's like kind of what faith is, in my opinion. It's like we have faith in God, but this is also analogous and sort of metaphorical with faith in our future, faith in ourselves, faith in the highest conceptualization of us. And this is actually something that helps to keep us objective, because like anything you do in the moment, you can just be like, this isn't really me necessarily. This is me now. This isn't the highest version of me. This is me aspiring to be the highest version of me. And at any point in time, anything bad that happens, say you go through a breakup, somebody hurts you, you get betrayed, someone steals from you, someone, you get robbed, you fail, anything like this, what you can say is like, the future version of me who is excelling in all the ways I can envision, I can literally envision, is just looking back on this moment and saying like, that was a testing ground for me to become me now. And it is actually, like, it's very much so the case that all the negative things that you go through in life, the ups and the downs, they do craft the future version of you. Everything I've been through in my life, everything I'm going through right now has led to me being this, and will lead me to being better. Like, if you have this mindset constantly that you're just improving all the time, it's very difficult not to assume a higher version of yourself. Obviously, it does require you to be systematic in your habits and your actions, but it's also like, it's also visualizing that ideal and being very conscious about it. Like me, I'm very conscious about being a sort of Renaissance man. I want to be a fighter. I want to be an artist. I want to be a content producer. I want to be a writer. I want to be rich. I want to travel the world. I want to have a family. I want to have a lot of friends. I want to collaborate. I want to be on the beach. I want to surf. I want to snowboard. I want to do photography. So this is my vision of myself. And it's like, every day I think about it, and sometimes my vision gets cluttered, right? Because I get bogged down in my current problems. But like, when I look about things in the past and I'm like, that's not necessarily me. That was just me unconscious. That was just me on a lower level of consciousness. And I'm on a higher level of consciousness now to see that in hindsight. But, I'm gonna eventually become more conscious, and I'm gonna eventually look back on this moment and be like, okay, I was just figuring things out. I was just like trying to do my best to get to the next level. And so you can look at that. You can look at your past like that, but you can also look at your present moment like that, and that helps you to detach and to not be so like personal with anything that happens. It's like, so again, you can also take this back to step number 1. On a certain level, you should be cynical. You should be like, fuck this. Like, if things that happen that are wrong, it's okay to just be like, damn, like this happened. For a moment, you can just be like, and just feel that. Be real. Because like, again, this is not about being hippy dippy in a village, smoking ayahuasca and smoking weed all day and pretending everything's fine, because it's not all fine. But at the same time, it's very important to just zoom out. Remember that you're currently on this path to being more conscious and more effective, just like how in your past you were on the path to being more conscious and effective. And that's actually a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful journey that we can always be on. It's a beautiful reminder that we're always just doing our best to improve, and that's really the way of men in a lot of ways, just like becoming more conscious. So number 4, this kind of ties in with being objective. It kind of flows in really like well, actually, but it's like, remember what's useful. So again, tying back into point 1, be cynical. Be cynical about 3% of the time. For about, use about 3% of your energy, 1% of your energy to be cynical. But remember what's useful. Faith is useful. This is why I feel like religion is real. It's like religion preaches all the things that are like the most practical for society to function. And anyone who argues against that is just not really looking around at the world and saying like, hey, all of this stuff that is like sort of haram, all this stuff that is sinful and like wicked, if you're looking around and saying that stuff is productive to society, you're just not paying attention at all. If you're looking around and you're not going to say that, okay, there are certain things that are healthy, like telling the truth, being good to your fellow man, turning the other cheek, etc. These are certain things that cultivate a positive society. You're just not paying attention. So it's like usefulness, utility. Faith is useful. Optimism is very practical. It's useful. Even if you're not getting what you want for a while, right? Even in that case, it's still more useful to be optimistic. It's like, why would you sit around and like expect the next day to suck? Because if you expect the next day to suck, it's just gonna suck. It's just gonna be terrible. So it's like, you really do have to realize the power of positive delusion and like realize that humans pretty much only do that. Like the basic nature of humanity that makes it like magical and insane is, again, it goes back to step number 3, the objective. We have this ability to like zoom out and look at the world from an objective lens. We also, what that also means though is that we can project into the future and anticipate a positive future and assume the highest versions of ourselves that we can feasibly visualize, which is quite an amazing superpower, if you ask me. Because the thing that separates us from like animals is that we have this conception of the past and the future. We have this ability to look into the future, plan, be systematic about getting there, and then get there. And so keep that in mind. Things are really rough a lot of the times. Everybody goes through struggles, and it's not to discount these struggles. They're actually terrible. So it's like sometimes you really go through awful things. But what humans do seem to be very good at is getting over things, and that's a double-edged sword. It's kind of fucked up in a lot of ways because like people do get over things that you would almost think that they shouldn't. Like say someone dies in your family, so say you get broken up with or you break up with someone. Like the reality is like people do move on. People move on because it's a practical thing. It's a thing, and that can make you kind of feel almost like damn, like we're just like robots. But not everyone is a robot, and it is just a natural human thing to move on and to forget about pain and to keep going, keep pushing forward. And I kind of forgot what my point was there in that last moment, but those are my 4 tips for avoiding becoming a cynical, black-pilled person, essentially. With that, I'm gonna peace out.